What's going on, plugins? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the players that Mark Pope could get in the transfer portal. Before we get into this video, make sure you drop a like, and if you're new here, sub to the channel and become a part of the family. Now let's get into the video. We're officially in a new era for Kentucky basketball. Coach Cal decided to lead the program to become the new head coach at Arkansas, and they replaced him with Mark Pope, who was the head coach for BYU this past season. He played college basketball for Kentucky, so it was cool they hired a former player as the head coach. Kentucky fans seem excited, and they showed him a lot of love during his introduction press conference. He seems like he's ready to get to work and win championships, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. They lost half their roster to the transfer portal, and the incoming freshmen are decommitting. Most of the players that we thought were going to come back for their sophomore season entered the transfer portal. They had 6 commits coming in from the 2024 class, and now it's only one player that remains, which is Travis Perry, who's a 4-star prospect. He's a Kentucky native, and he will be playing for Kentucky this season. Since there's been a lot of turnover with the roster, it's time for Coach Pope to make some big moves in the transfer portal. But before I get into that, he got his first recruit as the head coach for Kentucky. 6'4" shooting guard Colin Chandler, who's a top 40 prospect in the 2022 class, announced he's committing to Kentucky. He was committed to BYU before he flipped his commitment. He hasn't played basketball in 2 years because he was on a mission. That's what I read in the article, so I'm concerned on how he will look in his freshman season since he hasn't played organized ball in a while. He could struggle in his first year, so Kentucky fans have to be patient with him. He's an athletic guard who can play above the rim. He has a downhill attack to the rim play style. He has a quick first step, and he can beat defenders to the rim or pull it for a jump shot. Overall, he seems like a solid player. He could be an elite 3-level scorer in college. Now let's talk about some players that Coach Pope has been in contact with in the transfer portal. The first player is Amari Williams, who's a 6'10" forward. He's 260 pounds with a 7'5" wingspan. He averaged 12.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 0.8 steals, 1.8 blocks, shooting 51% from the field and 33.3% from 3. This guy is a beast. He's long and athletic, super physical player. The biggest strength of his game is being a post player and his defense. He has some nice post moves and footwork, so you give him the ball in the post, he can create for himself and score at a high level. He plays strong and he can bully his way to the rim, but if he can't do that, he has the ability to shoot jump shots or hook shots. On defense is where he's going to make his biggest impact. He's the only player to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 straight seasons in CAA history. And for Kentucky, they need a player who takes pride in playing defense and can set the tone. Last season, Kentucky ranked in the bottom in all defensive categories. The talent level is going to be way different than what he's seen at Drexel. In the SEC, he's going to see some tough bigs, but I think he's going to play at a high level. I feel like he's still going to be a dominant player on defense. He's just too talented. He has elite defensive instincts. He's a good shot blocker and rebounder, and he could probably guard every position on the court. He'll be visiting Kentucky on April 21st and 22nd. They have to get him by any means, plugins. The next player is 6'3" guard Javon Small. Last season at Oklahoma State, he averaged 15.1 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists, shooting 44.1% from the field and 37.4% from 3. Oklahoma State wasn't that good, going 12-20 last season, and he led the team in points. He's a great mid-range jump shooter and three-point shooter. He can create for himself, but he plays his best being a catch and shooter and using ball screens. From the games I've seen, he uses ball screens really well, and he knows when to score the ball, and he knows when to pass it. He'll be a nice scoring threat in Coach Pope's offense. If you need Javon Small to carry the scoring load on offense, he can do that because he did it at Oklahoma State. At Kentucky, he should have more help on offense, but if he doesn't, just let him cook. Jacobi Koy is considered one of the best scorers in college basketball, averaging 20.8 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, shooting 40.7% from the field and 33.7% from 3. The biggest concern about him is that he's an undersized guard, being 5'11", but being undersized might not be a problem for him. He's a quick and shifty player who can create space for himself anywhere on the court. He can break down defenders and stop on a dime and get you a bucket. And at 5'11", he's shooting 59% at the rim, so he's a crafty finisher. I'm gonna be honest, he might give some Kentucky fans Robert Dillingham vibes, just the way his play style is. I wish I could show y'all some of his in-game highlights, but I don't want to get copyrighted. But make sure y'all check out his highlights after this video. Jacobi Koy, who's a 6'8" forward from TCU, averaged 10 points, 3.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 42.2% from 3. At TCU, he was a versatile player, playing multiple positions. Is not often the biggest, shooting over 40% from 3, and at the rim, he's shooting 66 from the field. He's a great catch and shooter, an inside-outside scorer. He could turn into a Trey Mitchell type of player for Kentucky. Trey Mitchell could play multiple positions and get to the rim and knock down threes, so getting a player like Jacobi Koy will be a nice addition to the team because of his versatility, and he has good size, being 6'8". Aiden Mahaney's a 6'3" 6'3" guard who played for St. Mary's. He averaged 13.9 points, 2.6 rebounds, 2.6 assists, shooting 38.6% from the field and 35.5% from three. The biggest strength in his game is being a catch and shooter from three. He'll be a solid rotational player for Kentucky if they can get him. Andre Stojakovic, who is a 5-star McDonald's All-American, the 6'7" guard played his freshman season at Stanford, averaging 7.8 points, 3.4 rebounds, 0.9 assists, shooting 40.9% from the field and 32.7% from three. He struggled a lot shooting the ball his freshman season. If he becomes more comfortable and becomes a better shooter, he's going to be a solid player. He has a lot of potential and upside. He's the perfect size being 6'7", and he has a nice skill set. He just struggled his freshman season. He's going to be a project type of player, but he could turn into a star. Tyson was a 6'7" forward, averaged 16.2 points, 5.9 rebounds, 1.6 assists, shooting 49.3% from the field and 46.5% from three. Kentucky has already been in contact with him when Coach Cal was the head coach, but now they're reaching out to him again to try and convince him to come to Kentucky. He's considered one of the best three-point shooters in the transfer portal. Kentucky doesn't really have an elite three-point shooter right now, so getting him would be nice for the offense. The last player I'm going to talk about is Jeremy Roach, who is a solid point guard at Duke. He played 4 years for him. Last season, he averaged 14 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3.3 assists, shooting 46.8% from the field and 42.9% from three. He'll bring leadership to the team. He was voted as a captain his last 2 years at Duke. If they strike out getting a point guard in the transfer portal, Jeremy Roach is a solid pickup. He's going to give you scoring and he can run an offense. He has played in big-time games and he's battle-tested, so if he wants to come to Kentucky, I would take him in a heartbeat. Even if he's not a starter, at least you have a solid point guard coming off the bench. I might have missed a few players, but Mark Pope has been contacting a lot of players in the transfer portal. It seems like he's contacting players every day, but Kentucky should be able to get some solid players and be decent this upcoming season. People think Kentucky's going to suck this season, but I don't believe that. They got some solid freshmen coming in. They're going to get some good players in the transfer portal. I know Kentucky has a lot of NIL money to give, so they should be fine. In Coach Pope's first season, he's going to have a lot of ups and downs, but I expect them to be competitive. My expectations for the team is not high. I don't believe they're going to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament and win a conference championship. If that happens, I'll be happy for them and the fan base, but I'm just saying my expectations for year one are not as high. And Kentucky fans shouldn't have any crazy expectations, so I hope everything goes well for Kentucky and they get some good news. What players do y'all want to see play at Kentucky this upcoming season? Drop some names in the comments, drop a like on the video, and sub to the channel. Turn on post notifications so you know when I post. If you want more Kentucky videos, smash that like button. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next video. Till next time.